Hi, Cody. I just want to say thank you for coming in and meeting with me. This is obviously an important ordeal that's going on recently, and I felt like once you gave me that list, and I told you were going to have to pay for some of the damages, we just left on the wrong foot. And as a landlord, but not only just a landlord, as a family friend, close friend of yours for a while, I don't want to be left off on a negative note. So I was just coming to ask you, what's your thoughts and feelings on this matter?
Well, first of all, you're welcome for coming in, and I appreciate you calling me and trying to make this right. But my thoughts on the matter are effectively that I feel like you were ignoring my requirements for the upkeep on the apartment. I don't feel like you really took the time out to take care of these issues, and that I think is why we're at this point where they piled up and we're in this situation.
Okay. And with that feeling of kind of ignoring, how did that make you feel about our relationship?
Well, it made me feel like the relationship's not really as much there. Like we're more tenant and landlord now than friends. I mean, I know that my family would want us to be in this situation or to have this kind of turmoil between us. So that's how I kind of feel. A little bit confused about it, but that's how I feel about our relationship.
Okay. And so, from what I get, is just the way I've worked with the plumbing situation and the list of items, it's caused confusion between our relationship. Not just by us being close, but the lack of landlord and tenant responsibility. Is that
Mm-hmm.
correct? Okay.
Yeah.
Um, I'm sorry about that. I obviously don't want to cause any confusion about our relationship. I also want this to be a successful partnership. That being said, I'd like to really start diving into these items and talking about what needs to be fixed, who fixes what, and getting caught up on that, and also getting caught up on rent and how rent will be paid on from here on out, and possible solutions going forward. How does that sound?
Okay. I think we can do that.
Okay. So first, I'd like to dive into this list of items that we've created. Um, Obviously, there are some problems in it, but I would like to. I mean, what's your thoughts on these list of items specifically? On
Well, the big one I think is the plumbing because that was the first thing to go. And if you remember by looking at the list, that's my first item on the list. So that was the one that's been ignored the longest, and that's the one starting to cause problems. I mean, the leaky faucet. How much is that gonna? How much is that costing you in utilities? How much is that bothering me and keeping me up at night? I mean, it's just a problem, and it's been going on for a while since I've been here for the 4 months. So that I think is the big one. The smaller item I feel is the cat and Sparky's damages to the curtains and the flooring, just because you knew I had the cat and you didn't object to me having the cat. I asked you if I could, so I feel like we kind of share the responsibility there.
yeah, and I agree. Before I go into solutions of the cat and what we need to do for future reference, what significance or role does the cat play in your life?
Oh well, I live by myself, and the cat's a good companion, and I love Sparky. But also, my mom gave me that cat recently as sort of a move-in welcome gift, and she surprised me with it. And I just really love the cat. I really want to keep the cat.
Okay, and obviously, I want you to feel welcomed and safe in your environment, whichever one you may land up in. That being said, I don't want you to feel alone. So I would be willing to obviously leave the cat there, but I think we would have to definitely discuss um, if future problems were to occur with like damages in the curtain, damages in the floor, um, just because that would be a costly repair for myself. Um, and I don't think I could really afford that as business has been kind of tough recently. But that being said, let's go back to the plumbing.
Mm-hmm.
I do agree. I should have worked on that. When you moved in, I had a guy come in, check everything out, and he listed the place as functional. So I thought everything was working well. And so, what's your thoughts on the functional listed before you moved in?
I think the plumbing was the only thing that was majorly wrong. The holes in the floor and the curtains were caused by Sparkies, so that obviously wasn't there when the guy came in. So I'm sorry to hear that he duped you a little bit on that, but I do think that the plumbing was the only thing that wasn't quote unquote functional.
Okay. And like I said before, I think this relationship between us is more than just landlord and tenant, as our families are close to you. And I definitely want that relationship to not be hindered by this landlord and tenant. So, in what ways could we solve this problem together? What's your ideas on making this situation better?
Well, I think we just need to figure out how to take care of the repairs. It seems like you're open to the plumbing, if I'm understanding you correctly.
Absolutely, yeah. That's my responsibility.
And while I do think that you were aware of the cat, knew that I had the cat, I guess since it was our damages and you're a good family friend, I can go ahead and pay for the flooring and the curtains. So we can go ahead and take care of that. Now, going forward, how do you want to talk about rent and the rest of the details on the apartment?
I think because you've been here for half a year, 6 months, I think we could definitely start getting some papers in where we can do a yearly release, and just so it just secures this, just so there's no mishaps. Because without in writing, we come into situations like this that not only make bad business but also hinder our relationship, which is 0 for 2 on what I want as a tenant. I'm not, or as a landlord. I'm not sure about you.
Yeah.
And so, for me personally, I think it would be best to start getting the leases going, just having things covered, and in that lease, I would be willing to obviously step up for the plumbing, the electricity, whatever, maybe going out or flooding. But I would definitely throw in there that you would probably have to be responsible for the cat.
Okay. So if I'm understanding you correctly, what you're saying is that the general upkeep of the apartment would be your responsibility.
Absolutely.
My responsibility would be making sure the cat is taken care of and doesn't cause any damages to this apartment or any of the other apartments.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That sounds pretty fair. How would we go about getting the lease set up?
So generally leases are ran for a year. So because it's already July, I could make it just a yearly lease of going into July to July, or August to July, August to August, whichever works best for you.
Well, since we're towards the end of July, let's go ahead and have it start on the 1st of August. That'll be easier to remember and to prepare for.
Okay, absolutely. And then, so let's talk about rent. So with me fixing the plumbing, and I'll go ahead and work on the light bulbs for you, get those replaced as well. What's your thoughts on the rent from months 2 through 5 that you haven't paid for? 4 months.
I think once we get the repairs in and the lease is up, then I will go ahead and I'll pay the rent.
Okay.
Whatever's due, whether that's another month or so or whatever. In the meantime, once the repairs are taken or made, I will go ahead and pay the rent, that back rent.
Okay. And so with this lease being signed, we'll have a documentation of what responsibility falls on, of course, tenant and landlord. Mm-hmm. And at the same time, I would love for you have my personal cell as well already, right?
Oh yeah, okay. I've got that from way back.
Yeah. Okay. if there's any other problems, just give me a call. As I said, like for myself personally, I want to be a great landlord. I'm sure you want to be a great tenant.
Yeah.
But also, I want our relationship to not be hindered by our business.
Yeah, I want the relationship that we had before all this mess as well, because those were some good times. But, before we wrap up this meeting, I just want to make sure that we've covered everything. So, can you just tell me more about our relationship and how you're feeling about where we are right now after all this?
Before the meeting, I was honestly probably overwhelmed on the situation as a whole because I just didn't know how to deal with a family friend tenant that we didn't sign any lease papers on, which it was just a whole confusing area for me, and which kind of made me aggravated. But because we've come to the agreement of signing a lease, we've made these different steps on how we're going to carry out for future messes like this. I'm feeling awesome about it. I'm feeling comfortable. Ready to do business with you, but also continue our relationship in the upward direction it needs to go.
Okay, so if I'm understanding you correctly, you were a little overwhelmed and pressured by all the demands I was making.
Yeah.
I'm sorry about that. I could have been a little more tactful there.
That's
And
okay.
I know that we just both have different ways of doing things. I know that you're a little more hands off and I'm a little more hands on, as noted by the list and the general time it took to get this taken care of. So I think that's where our crossroads are. We just do things differently.
Yeah, and I don't want you to take all the blame, of course. I mean, it was my responsibility as landlord. I need to be there just to talk and also fix things up. That's my responsibility. This is part of the business, and I wasn't holding up my end as well.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm sorry for that.
Yeah. And as far as our relationship, if I understood you correctly, you don't just want us to be tenant and landlord. You want us to be a good family friends like we used to.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Definitely. I couldn't agree more because, like I said earlier, those were some great times. And the lease, I think, should be a good way for us to move forward with this. Do you agree?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that the plans that we have for this lease will put concrete blocks down on which we can use as stepping stones to further our relationship as landlord and tenant.
And good family friends.
And good family friends, of course.
Okay, well, if there's anything that I'm forgetting as far as this whole situation, please let me know. And you have my cell number too as well.
Absolutely.
In case we have to follow up.
Yeah, absolutely. Just give me a call. If there's any more questions, I'll give you a call if I have any questions. And I'm excited to get this business partnership going again.
All right, sounds good, bud.
All right, have a good day, Cody.